So we are going to deal with conditional statements, and what we're going to consider is we're going to consider the if statement, the else if, or the otherwise. Then we all do also have the else. So let's take a quick example. So let's say let's first study the structure of if else. So it goes this way: or if, then a condition. So condition. Then if that condition is not met, then you can now continue again with else if, then a condition again. So let's say we have a second condition, then the final condition is else. So the else part gets printed when the first condition is not actually met by the first, second, or the nth condition. So this will now be printed automatically. So let's say now print like, so let's say no condition was met. So with that, this actually is the basic structure. So let's actually take into real life example. So let's say if it is raining, then wear a coat jacket. Wear a jacket actually. Then if it's hot, wear maybe a vest, and else go for a movie. So how we are going to actually like print this is we are going to actually create boolean. So let's say it's raining outside, then assign it to a true value. Then it's hot, so it cannot be raining and it's hot. So we're going to assign a value, a boolean value of false. Then we're going to check with our statement. So we talked about booleans, so this is how we assign booleans. So let's say if it's raining, so that's the condition. So remember, there's always this spacing inside here. So once you enter your full colon, so each and every if statement ends with a full colon. So if this is the condition that we are actually looking at, and inside the condition we are actually trying to check if it's raining or not. So if the condition is true, then we want to ask our user to maybe like to wear a jacket. So what if, well, let's say else if, this now comes our condition number 2. That is if the first condition is not met. So else if it's hot. So let's tell our user to maybe like, instead of wearing a jacket, like go swimming. Then to the final, so I'm just going to move this to the final part. Else, if now none of the conditions is met, then I want you to know that else. So else doesn't take any condition. So it's only if and else if. So else if none of the conditions has now been met, then we are going to ask for a user maybe like watch a movie just in your house. So let's try run and see what will be printed. So wear a jacket because the first condition was actually met. So what if we assign now this to a false, and then let's say it's now raining. So I'm going to clear the output, then I'm going to run it. So go swimming. So the first condition was not met. Then the next condition was, is it hot? Yes. So the condition is now, the statement is go swimming. So what if actually both of the conditions are not met? So let's see what will actually be executed. Watch a movie. So you find that the first condition was not met, so our code proceeded to be executed in the next step. That was if the else if. Then the next thing was else. So it's like finally, or we are telling the user maybe like you have no other option but to now watch a movie. So this is actually the condition, the if else conditional statement. So it works based on a certain condition. Now, I want to try a quick, let's do one example, then I'm going to give you an exercise. So let's say we are a loaning company. So we want to check if our user has credit or has a certain amount. So let's say as credit is equal to, we assign it to a true value, then the credit amount, is let's say 500,000 Kenya shillings, so that should be $5,000. So we want to check for the condition. If our user has credit, then let's now process the loan request. So maybe let's say we are charging a deposit of maybe 0.5%, not 0.5, let's say you're asking for a user of 5%, so that should be 0.5, yes? Not, but that should be 50%. So we ask the user to deposit 50%. So to actually do that, so we're going to say, to first check for the condition. If has credit, then let's say transact. Then else. So we're just going to actually base this. So we're only checking for these two conditions. So if has credit, then transact. Else, if there's no credit, then we're going to tell the user no transaction. So after we have done this, let's see what will actually be printed. So transact. Now let's calculate the deposit. So you remember we did some mathematical operation. So our deposit amount will now be the credit amount multiplied by the rate here, which is 0.5. So then we're going to assign this to a new variable called deposit. So our deposit amount will now be this. So let's print this to the user. So let's use the string formatting F method. So let's say the deposit amount is, then we place here deposit. Then we are done. So I want you to run this. So once you run this, you're going to see actually the deposit amount. So we are being told to proceed. So the deposit amount now comes to 250,000 Kenya shillings. So that will be $2,500. So if now I want you to check if he has credit and the amount is greater or equal to 500,000. So for a low amount, so let's say for a low amount less than 500,000 or the less than $5,000, so our deposit will now rise up to 70% because we are not sure if we will finish paying. So then for high credit, that's more than 500,000, we are going to actually reduce this to a deposit amount of 40%.